Here we have B Dawk, and his name is spelled literally the letter B and then the word Dawk, like hawk, but with a D. So Dawk. And this is a really well bred 6-year-old, 16 one hand thoroughbred gelding by Gormley. And I love Gormleys. I've had a few and I've loved all of them, which is a Malibu Moonline. And he's also out of a Super Saver mare. So just such a nice pedigree on this horse for racing and for sport. I absolutely knew I was going to love him when my friend sent me a picture of him. This horse is very, very cool for a couple of reasons. One of them is because he only ran 20 times, which for a 6-year-old isn't very much. And out of those 20 starts, he made $284,000, which is pretty good. He just ran the end of November. On November 29th was his last start. So he's just about 2 weeks post track. And this horse has actually run in several stakes races, and he even ran in a grade one stakes race. So that's pretty darn impressive. So this is a really classy racehorse. And actually, even more interestingly, he has been publicly sold at auction several times, 4 times actually, throughout his life. Most recently, in 2022, he sold for $500,000 as a 3-year-old. As a 2-year-old in 2021, he sold for $425,000. And in 2020, as a yearling, he sold for $140,000. So this horse has cumulatively been sold for well over $1 million over the span of his life, which is just absolutely wild. So I just think that that's so fascinating. So just a really classy, well-bred horse, tons and tons of life experience running at allowance and stakes level races. And he's lovely. I mean, I definitely think he's a little bit tight behind right now. He just ran, and I know he would appreciate a little bit of time with some hacking out and turnout and things of that nature. So I'm not going to be cramming anything, down his throat here as we get going. But the horse makes an absolutely beautiful shape. Not helping him today is just the fact that when I rode him this morning, it was cold last night. Things started melting yesterday, but then it was really cold, around 20 degrees last night. So then the ring froze back over. And I should have dragged it the other night, but I didn't. So it was sort of like a stabby frozen over because all the hoof prints from the day before had frozen. So the footing is not helping his case right now. So he felt a little tight to me, but I also just think that in better footing, that's not stabby and frozen and icy, he would probably feel a lot better also. But nonetheless, he's perfectly sound and perfectly well to go for a ride. So he's a lovely mover. I think he can move a lot more nicely than he showed today. Better footing, some time to sort of let down a little bit from racing will definitely help his case. He makes a beautiful shape. He is really soft and light in his mouth. I actually sat on him yesterday for a few minutes for the first time, but I got on him in a loose ring snaffle, and he's just way too light for a loose ring snaffle. So his head was like on the ground. I couldn't get him to get his head up or stick out his nose at all. So we came back today for ride 2 in the Hermspringer Duo, which is just a really, really light, soft rubber straight bar, and that helped immensely. There are still moments when I think he's a little too low or he ducks behind the vertical a little bit. But for the most part, he's got his pole up and he's at least on vertical. I would love to get his nose out in front of him a little bit more, but that will come in time, obviously. Today was hugely, hugely improved with this bit. So that is surely what I will be keeping in him for the moment. So he did some pretty good flat work today. I have to say, I was quite impressed with him. When I first got on, he just wanted to be a little bit wiggly with his shoulders. I think his left shoulder is the one that he tends to be more out, and that's the same for both directions. So when he's going to the right, he wants to lean to the outside on his left shoulder. So you'll see right here what I'm talking about, trying to hold that shoulder straight around that corner. And then actually that was really nice down that long side. I'm purposefully riding him off the track because he's wanting to sort of lean on the fence a little bit as a crutch on that outside shoulder. So I'm trying to stay a horse or two on the inside. What I mean by that is just not quite on the track to make sure that he's up off my leg and not leaning against the fencing. And so similarly, when you're going to the left, he's a little bit more leaning on his inside shoulder. So in both directions, we're kind of working on the same thing. I have to say, though, he got it really nicely, and I was very impressed with him. And he's lovely to ride. I mean, when he's really got it and he's straightened his shoulders, he really feels like a classy, extremely sporty type of horse. And he has a great walk, actually. So this is just a little bit of his walk. And I loved his frame in the walk because he had his poles up, his nose is out a little bit. I love how his ears are pricked, and he looks like he's eager to do all the things, and just has a great expression on his face. So in the canter work, he actually did a really nice canter transition to the right, but then he was a little bit crooked, so it took me a minute or so to sort it out. So I left it out. But anyway, did a great right canter transition. And the horse has a phenomenal canter, as you would expect from his conformation and just the general shape that he makes. Obviously, the horse has a beautiful canter. I had to work a little bit more in the canter to keep him straight in his shoulders, but all of that will come. This is just his first true ride post track, and he looks pretty impressive to me considering that. Very balanced in the canter, very easy to sit, excuse me. He's very much already a horse who's ready to start using the seat as an independent aid. So obviously I'm sitting the canter, and I actually did a little bit of sitting trot work. I think there's a little bit in the video at the very beginning. He's just so naturally balanced and in a package that he's really ready already to start using the seat as its own completely independent aid. And so sitting the trot really allows me to sort of use my seat separately from my lower leg, and it really helped in getting him straight through his shoulders and his haunches. So he's excellent on the ground, very well mannered on cross ties, very, very sweet, personable horse. This horse would walk through fire for a peppermint. He's been very spoiled, I'm sure deservedly so. So he's very friendly, very much in your pocket. As you can see here, I'm trying to take off his blanket and he's literally trying to get in my pocket, but he's very cute about it. So the only thing that's not in this video is that we struggled to get the left lead a little bit. I did get it over a pole. We did a change, but he just couldn't hold it very long. He held the left lead for maybe half the ring, and then he wanted to break out of the canter. So he's just not quite ready for that yet, which is fine. I'm not going to push him to do more than he's ready for at this moment.